small rebel force has penetrated the shield and landed on Endor.
This is where the fun begins.
A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
This is Rebel Force Radio.
Your source for the Force.
Star Wars news and commentary.
With Jason Swank and Jimmy Mack.
I've seen Star Wars 500 times.
Star Wars #1!
This station is now the ultimate power in the universe. I suggest we use it.
Now it's time for Rebel Force Radio.
We would be honored if you would join us.
Well, happy holidays, one and all. Welcome back to Rebel Force Radio, our last show of the year 2022. But what a show it is. Fear not, we'll be back in the new year with, of course, more weekly Rebel Force Radio, as well as a slew of after shows, all coming up in 2023. But meanwhile, like I said, it is a heck of a show we've got in store for you. In fact, you might say it's a very Ahsoka Christmas here at Rebel Force Radio. That's right. Ashley Eckstein will be joining us in the cantina. Ahsoka Tano herself. And, you'll always want to spend time at this time of year. You always want to spend time with the special ones. And there are a few people as special as Ashley, so it'll be great to catch up with her. And talk about her new book that she has, as well as we've never gotten her reaction from Star Wars Tales of the Jedi. We haven't spoken to her since that was released. There was a lot of new Ahsoka stuff in that series, obviously, so we'll get her take on all of that. Plus some more listener feedback. We didn't get to all of them last week. We got a few more of those. We put the call out that went across the galaxy, and we've got some of the top best questions and voicemails to share with you. So more to go through. So let's do it. Let's get to it. Introductions in order. If you're new to the program, we are growing by leaps and bounds here each and every week on Rebel Force Radio. My name is Jason, and with me, my good friend and yours from Chicago, Jimmy Mack.
Hey, Jason. Hey, Star Wars fans. Happy to be here with you for the holiday edition of Rebel Force Radio, a very Ahsoka Christmas with Ashley Eckstein. Thank you, everyone, for joining us under the tree. And we got all of our favorite ornaments are up on the tree, but my favorite is Ahsoka herself. And we got that with Ashley. Star Wars royalty. I've been excited for this show for weeks now. Weeks, Swank.
Yeah.
So I don't want to keep Ashley waiting.
No, you want to do it. Oh, I do have one thing I want to share.
I thought maybe you did.
I got one thing I want to share. First of all, by the way, I got the eggnog, and you always
gotta top the nog, yeah,
with some nutmeg and some cinnamon.
I remember last year, I had my run-in with the eggnog last year, the famous Swank recipe, and put me out of commission for about 3 days. So yes, but no nog here.
I have to show these photos because. It's Christmas time, and so many of our Star Wars memories are, combined with the holidays. I mean, for the latest generation, the sequels were all coming out across the holidays. Rogue One was happening in the holidays. But for most of us, it was all about the toys, coming down and seeing those bright, colorful packages, and we'd rip them open and see that Kenner logo, or, for the younger crowd, that Hasbro logo. But anyway, so check this out. This is a photo, and I could have scanned this in and done it digitally, but no, this is an actual photograph. This is from December 1978. And this is my brother on Christmas morning with his Millennium Falcon, Kenner vintage Millennium Falcon. You see the Christmas tree in the background there, and the stockings, and the crappy Santa that was made in art class. So this is him holding open the box. And then this is the follow-up picture. Here he is in his PJs and holding the Millennium, making the Millennium Falcon go, making it run. You can see the way his mouth is shaped. He's doing the, making the sound of the Falcon there, and that's just
what you do.
Christmas goodness that I wanted to share.
Amazing. As I'm frantically texting Billy Mack, send a pic of us from Christmas with Star Wars game ASAP.
I'd love to see it. I had a two very distinct Star Wars holidays as a kid. The one was Christmas, of course, and it was the year I got the Ewok Village. I wanted that Ewok Village playset so bad, December of 1983, and when I got it, because it was just, sure, of course, you reenact the, the stuff with the Ewoks, but it finally gave me a playset of my own because, see, I had older cousins and older brother, and those were their Star Wars toys. Those weren't my Star Wars toys. But that Ewok Village was the one big piece that I had that everybody else wanted to play with. I'm like, how the tables have turned here. I'll let you play with my Ewok Village if I can play with your Slave One.
Here you are. Jason Swank, mayor of the Ewok Village. Pay your admission at the door.
And the other one was, it was an Easter, oddly enough, and all I wanted that spring, and I hadn't even seen the movie yet, I just wanted that green lightsaber that came out in the spring of 1983. And that's all I wanted, and Easter was the nearest holiday to when it came out, and I just wanted it so badly, the Easter Bunny brought it. So, anyway.
Easter Bunny never brought me crap when I was a kid. He brought me those Peeps. It was a bunch of sugary crap. It was bad.
You never
for my
lifted
teeth.
up all that grass at the bottom of the Easter basket to find a Kenner action figure at the bottom?
No.
That happened to me a few times.
Never.
Oh.
Toys were birthdays and Christmas, if Santa had you on the nice list. But no, there was never any gifts for Easter. It was chocolate. It was chocolate and church. That's what I got for Easter. And I'm getting no response from Billy Mack. I'm very despondent.
He's not
I can't
coming
share
through.
pictures
I'm sorry to hear
of
that.
me and him. We were at the Chris Mocked holiday party over the weekend, and Billy was showing these pictures on his phone, and I thought I could show them here, but no go. And the Chris Mocked holiday party, I never saw so many Star Wars Christmas sweaters in one place in my life. I had no idea that there were so many different types and kinds of weird, ugly Star Wars Christmas sweaters. And when I say ugly, I mean it in the kindest of terms. Everyone has those ugly Christmas sweater contests and stuff. Well, now they just make the sweaters ugly on purpose. And this time they might even squeeze in a Baby Yoda or something. So I saw a lot of that stuff going on.
I bet you were
at Chris's
sporting
house.
the Jimmy Mack black hoodie. I think that's probably
I rolled in there with the hoodie on, Yeah, I'm like, here he is. Ebenezer has arrived with no festive sweater on or nothing.
Well, you do bring up a good point. The ugly sweater, it used to be, there was sincerity behind it. People wore it because they thought, hey, I'm being festive. Now, like you say, they're ugly on purpose. They're outlandish and crazy on it. So it takes something a little bit away from it when you're trying to uglify it. It was
when your great aunt is wearing it.
Or your great right.
It's festive and appropriate for the season, okay? When your coworker Smitty is wearing it at the holiday party and he's hammered, it's more of an ironic sort of look.
And it is.
Yeah, the ugly Christmas sweater look. Well, there was a lot of that going on at Chris Mock's party, so I think I'll be better prepared next year. And so I may venture into the ugly Star Wars Christmas sweater market.
I'm sure the whole thing is available to watch on a live stream, right? I mean, it's there somewhere.
Should be interesting. But I never knew there were so many. It was just such a variety.
Wow.
They even had Mandalorian ones there. It was just craziness. So, yeah, maybe I wasn't that festive, but what do you want? I was wearing an Imperial cog in red. I thought that was kind of Christmassy.
There you go. Hey, as long as you're festive for the podcast here this week, the holiday show, the Christmas show.
Hey.
And we got Ashley.
We have one thing.
How do you not be festive?
We have one thing that Chris didn't have at his party, and that's Ahsoka Tano.
Right. Well, what do you say? You want to do it? We'll go into the cantina? I'll take my
I don't want to keep her
eggnog.
waiting, that's for sure.
All right.
Ashley is always on time and energized and ready to entertain us. So, ladies and gentlemen, let's jump into the cantina for the great, and I mean great, Ashley Ahsoka Eckstein.
Star Wars Cantina. you going, Master? For a drink?
Sorry about the mess. You will never find the more wretched hive of scum and villainy. We must be cautious.
Hey, Ashley. Hey. Great to see you. You look wonderful.
Oh, thank you. Yes, I wore my fancy Star Wars holiday special sweatshirt just for the occasion tonight.
You know what's so great about that artwork as I'm looking at it is that in true, I think, Han Solo fashion, he would probably be the least emotive while singing Christmas carols. I mean, all the rest of them are really into it. And of course, he barely has got his mouth open. He's just kind of... Anyway, it's great to see you. You look great. Love the sweatshirt, and we can think of no better holiday gift for our listeners than to have you with us in the cantina. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. No, this truly made my night, made my holiday to chat with the both of you. I have to remind you every single time we do an interview that chatting with the two of you was my very first interview ever as Ahsoka Tano back in 2008. So I feel like we need to make this our annual holiday tradition.
I love it. I think that's a great idea. 2008. I mean, my goodness, that's just a couple of years ago, wasn't it?
Yes. Actually, if you can believe it, we're going to be celebrating 15 years since the Clone Wars launched in 2008 in 2023. So we'll be having our 15th anniversary.
I really hope that is something that gets celebrated and commemorated. That would be great.
Well, I know at least as a cast, we'll be celebrating it all year long. I've been having a lot of fun going to conventions with Matt Lanter and James Arnold Taylor. Dee Bradley Baker is going to be joining us here at one of them. And, we're just going to be celebrating 15 years of Clone Wars wherever we go.
Amazing. And we were there at the beginning. And I remember the first time I met you and we were talking and David was there. And 15 years ago, we didn't know where David was going to be playing the next season in MLB. And I was saying, David, come to the White Sox. Because I thought it would be great just to have you there in the Players' Wives section there in the south side of Chicago. That would be a hoot.
I would have loved it. it. That's still one of the stadiums that I've never been to. So got to make that happen.
For sure. But you got so much going on now. I mean, it's incredible. You're still so active in Star Wars. It's really been the autumn of Ahsoka. We had so much Ahsoka stuff happening, so much Ashley Eckstein stuff happening. Let's just cut to the chase because this is the thing I've been wanting to know the most about. It's been revealed you visited the set of the Ahsoka series and you finally met the other Ahsoka, Rosario Dawson.
I did get to visit the set of Ahsoka, and it was just an amazing day. As I've already said, I want to set the record straight. I did not film a cameo because I know if I don't say that, everyone's going to assume, oh my gosh, there's a cameo. What episode is she in? And it was just a set visit. And, I'll continue to throw my dreams out in the universe that maybe season 2, a cameo could happen. But I'm just thrilled that I got to visit the set. So, yes, there's our selfie. So kind of how it went down, because I've been wanting to meet Rosario Dawson since the very beginning. I mean, literally for 3 years now, I've been begging to meet her, and she's been wanting to meet me too. We both are really strong advocates of just women supporting women. And, we've both been very supportive of each other, and, we just wanted to meet. So it took a little while, but finally it happened. And, it was almost like a scene out of a movie. She was filming a scene when I walked on set, so she didn't see me right away. But after they called cut and she was walking back towards her her starting spot, she saw me and she just ran towards me, and I ran towards her, and we just hugged. and hugged for like literally like 2 minutes. And then we just stared at each other in disbelief. I was staring at her because it was just so cool to see, a live action version of Ahsoka, and I was just studying her, and everything, the head tails and the makeup and the costume and just everything about her. And then she's so kind. I don't think she knew how much I love Disney. But she literally, she was staring at me. She's like, "Oh my gosh, you're like a Disney princess." Which was so kind. I mean, that's like the best compliment she could have given me as a Disney fan myself. So, it was definitely a mutual admiration society. And then we posed for a picture. So it was a really, really cool picture that unfortunately, it's not the pictures you're showing. Unfortunately, the picture we posed for, there's stuff in the picture that can't be seen yet.
We can't see that. So, no. We see like a tree
yeah.
stump or something, and that'll just start the fans with all kinds of rumors and whatnot. You know how we are. We grab onto every little thing we see.
Well, exactly. And so unfortunately that picture won't be seen probably until, that episode airs. But it was just a really cool day, and she was very kind, very gracious, kept on coming over in between every take that she was filming, and we just got to chit chat, and I had the chance to really tell her what Ahsoka not only means to me personally, but means to the fans. And, it was just a really cool opportunity. And then we got to continue that at GalaxyCon Columbus, and that's where that selfie came from. And then we just got to be ourselves there. Unfortunately we didn't get to chat too much because, at conventions, you're always so busy.
Especially
but we got
you.
to see each other behind the scenes, and she popped into my photo op, and we just all got to goof around and have a good time. And it just felt right. Like it felt like, okay, that's all I ever wanted. We're one Team Tano, and I'm looking forward to a lot of future opportunities together like that.
I see a new T-shirt in the makings with one Team Tano.
Oh yeah.
You don't do it, I will, Ashley.
Yes.
I'll definitely try.
Ahsoka worlds collide. Did you have a chance to discuss any Ahsoka lore with her?
No, we didn't discuss that yet, and part of that was just time. I mean, we only had so much time because they were still filming, and it was it was a working set. But I think the thing that we did get to discuss is honestly the one thing that I knew that I wanted to discuss if we ever had the chance to meet. And that was truly what Ahsoka means to people, because I think that's the most important thing for me to share with anyone who joins Team Tano, because that's the thing. Team Tano is not just me and Rosario Dawson. It's a giant group of people that it takes to bring Ahsoka Tano to life. And it always has been. It's never been just me. And I've always been very outspoken about that. But Ahsoka Tano has transcended beyond this character that we love. Ahsoka, this is why I started the hashtag Ahsoka lives in all of us. Ahsoka is literally changing lives and saving lives. And, after 15 years of this character, of stories and about Ahsoka and all the episodes and all the ways that she's inspired us, we've all taken a piece of Ahsoka into our heart and into our soul, and she lives in us, and she inspires us, and she guides us. And I've had the privilege now to hear these stories about how much Ahsoka means to people for the past 15 years. And that's why I've dedicated so much of my life to this character. And I will continue to dedicate my life to this character and strive to be a real life version of this character because of how much she means to people. And that's the thing we got to talk about. And that's what I hope to, continue to spread the word about Ahsoka.
Ashley, when did you realize that the affection that fans have for Ahsoka was maybe a little bit deeper than just, I think she's a neat character? Like, how is your perception of the fans, loving this character? How has it evolved over the last 15 years? Did it kind of come in phases?
It has come in phases, but there was a very clear moment for me where I realized, like, whoa, this character has transcended the screen. This character is now a game changer for people. And it was really after the season 5 finale of Clone Wars, after they canceled the series, and Ahsoka walked away from the Jedi Order. And, unfortunately, it was on that cliffhanger where, she walked away from the Jedi Order and we had no idea what happened to her. But, that didn't matter. What she showed and what she proved by walking away from the Jedi Order, walking away from everything that she ever knew, because she believed it was the right thing to do, starting over, and walking away from a toxic environment, standing up for herself, doing what was right for herself, gave people so much strength. And that's the moment where really Ahsoka started changing lives and in many cases saving lives. And I've heard story after story how Ahsoka has given people the strength to walk away from, toxic situations in their own life, or given people the strength to start over again. And people's stories are just truly so inspiring. And I feel very privileged that people would share these stories with me. So yeah, I would say that was the turning point. Yeah. And then of course from there, Star Wars Rebels with Ahsoka and Vader. Just the famous scene of Ahsoka and Vader fighting. I had no idea that I know Jedi, that line would mean so much to people, and really become her most iconic line. And then of course the final season of Clone Wars, I feel like that just cemented Ahsoka as really the icon that she's become.
True. Yeah. A lot of people rank the final arc from Clone Wars as some of the best Star Wars they've ever seen. And I remember when Ahsoka walked down those steps and how it felt watching that episode. It was one of those things where I realized I was just still staring at the credits after you walked away, Snips. You cruise down those steps out of our lives for a couple of years as it turned out. And I just was staring at the credits with my head in the hands, on my knees, and just watching that and just kind of frozen. And I don't think an animated production of any type affected me that way. And, your great acting and the chemistry you had with Matt you have with Matt and the rest of the crew is very obvious and stuff. But it was 2 years then before we saw Ahsoka again. And for a young person or a kid, 2 years is forever. And then Ahsoka finally came back in that episode of Rebels. And for a kid living in my house, my son Dylan, who was only 12 or 13 at the time, that was an event that shook the continent. It shook the planet. And so we have, I shot video of him. I don't know if you remember this, but I shot secret video of Dylan watching Ahsoka return to Star Wars after being gone for 2 years. She walked off those steps season 5 of Rebels, and then we didn't see her. I think it was like 2 years to the day when Ahsoka returned in Star Wars Rebels. Yeah.
It was. Yeah, I do remember that. And I do remember the video and countless videos of reactions.
There was a lot of them.
There was. And it's actually, again, all roads lead back to my chats with you guys. I remember we were chatting about, what was it, Vader Lives, or was it Darth Vader Lives? And,
right.
We said, well, it should be Ahsoka Lives.
Right.
And so right after Ahsoka, came down that ladder, or after the episode was over, I tweeted Ahsoka Lives. And that hashtag just kind of took off at that point. And, it really just meant that Ahsoka lived. That's all it meant. But it's so funny. Now it means so much more. And that's why I updated it to be Ahsoka Lives in All of Us. Because, yes, we want her to live for a long time. There's so many more Ahsoka stories to tell. And it's exciting that we're going to get them. But now it's just kind of like her legacy lives on in all of us, which is just so cool. Yeah, there it is.
The Darth Vader
goes back
Lives
all
pin.
the way to 1977. This button, Darth Vader Lives. And of course, between the three of us here, Ashley, Jimmy Mac's the only one old enough to actually remember these buttons when they were out there. So he remembered this button, and that's when he brought it up to you on the show. Hey, maybe there's another campaign here. Ahsoka Lives. And that is what took off.
It really did. I mean, all the cool ideas start here.
That's right.
Yes.
Well, let's go back down memory lane. We've got the video. This is Dylan Mack, and this is real secretly filmed video of him and you can tell because he's so chill. You put a camera on a kid that age at that time, they'd have been all over the place, but he's real chill until he hears your voice.
That was the protocol. The protocol has changed.
Who's this?
Ahsoka.
What?
My name is Ahsoka.
Why?
Because of you and your apprentice, many in this system and beyond have earned your
Is that Ashley?
You gave them hope in their dark.
You're recording me, aren't you? This isn't going anywhere.
No. You're just going to have to watch that video for the rest of your life. So yeah.
But you see, as soon as he sees,
remember that video.
as soon as he sees Ahsoka, he doesn't say, "Is that Ahsoka?" He says, "Is that Ashley?" He needs to know. He needs to hear the voice for Ahsoka to have legitimately made her return, and that was Ashley, young man. And that video did go somewhere.
Well, you know what? That video is so precious. And I'm sure he appreciates me calling the video precious. But I bet he's happy to have that memory now. And that's how we all felt. I mean, I tell people today, it's really, some people are shocked by it. And I'm not. And my husband David isn't, because we've been on this journey with everyone. But if you look in one of my lines at a convention, you'll see every type of fan. You'll see men, women, boys, girls. It's not like it's all women or all men. It's everyone. And it's really because, Ahsoka was the eyes of the audience in Clone Wars. We were meant to experience the Clone Wars through her eyes. And so I really believe that's why everyone has such a strong connection with Ahsoka, because we see ourselves in her. And so we all relate to her in some way. We've all kind of created our own identity through her. And there's just something so special about that. And again, not to repeat myself, but that's why I say Ahsoka lives in all of us, because she really, we all can relate to her.
Yeah, it's so important, the factor that she was our way into that world of the Clone Wars. So much of what we know about the Clone Wars is informed, through her experience. I mean, from day one, with the movie and building the relationship, with her Sky Guy and R2E and all of that. And we also watched her grow up. and for a lot of fans, especially the ones that we talk to that are so in love with Ahsoka, it's because they grew up with her. They might not have been the exact same age, but there was definitely a progression as they became bigger and better Star Wars fans. And then, then Ahsoka started showing up in other stories and other mediums. And now what's so cool about where the character is with the live action series is, now a lot of these kids are older and, ready for that adventure as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it simultaneously makes you feel really old and then excited when somebody comes up and tells you, you were my entire childhood. But I immediately, thank them for sticking with us for so long and for going on this journey with us. And, I love that you bring up Sky Guy, which I love the nickname Sky Guy, but also R2E. And, all the other little nicknames that, didn't continue on. But Ahsoka was snippy and she was a little bratty and she was a little annoying in the beginning. And we've talked about this over the years. But had Ahsoka been perfect, she wouldn't be what she is today. She would have been a really boring character. She would have had no journey and arc to go on. And so the fact that she did start so snippy and annoying, and the fact that she was so young really gave her such an incredible arc.
And made her relatable. And made her relatable. Because we're not all perfect. We'd love to be Luke Skywalker in Return of the Jedi or Anakin Skywalker at his peak. But, most of us don't have days like that. Most of us are, sometimes clumsy and sometimes say the wrong thing at the wrong time. And, that's what I think really, when I think back about Ahsoka's journey, is those humble beginnings where she was trying so hard, but it almost always ended up, causing her some sort of little embarrassment or something. And, but she persevered through all of that, and you watched her grow to where she didn't need Anakin anymore. Certainly not the way she did in the past. And you brought up a great point about her walking away. And I never thought of it until you articulated it the way you did, that this is such a great example of someone walking away from seemingly having it all. Being a Jedi, probably on her way of being one of the greatest of all Jedi, with tutelage of Obi-Wan Kenobi, Anakin Skywalker, Yoda, some of the best of the best. And for her to say no to that because it no longer felt right. That does take a lot of courage.
Yeah. And everyone has their own way they relate to that. It could be walking away from a bad situation, or it could be, walking away from a path that you thought was the one that was right for you. And you decided you wanted to start a new one. I mean, I think especially so many kids that grew up with the Clone Wars could probably relate to it now, and also adults. You go down a path and let's say you choose a career that you think is right for you. And then it's all you studied it, that's what you focused on. And then all of a sudden you're like, this isn't me. This isn't what I want to do. This isn't what fulfills me. I want to try something new. And so many people feel stuck where they're like, but I can't, it's too late for me. It's, I can't start a new dream. I can't start a new path. But Ahsoka gives so many people the strength because she walked away from everything that she knew. I mean, she trained her whole life to be a Jedi. She knew nothing else. And she had the strength to walk away and completely start over. And she gave so many, millions of fans around the world at this point, the strength and the courage to do that as well.
Well, I think it's like even beyond anything very specific. I think the lesson there, and it's a lesson I try to teach my kids and the lesson I try to live by, is trust your gut. And Ahsoka was just trusting her gut because the Jedi were willing to take her back in. They were apologetic. They wanted her to stay. And they certainly did not think for a second she was going to walk away after her name was cleared. But Ahsoka lost the confidence in the Jedi because the Jedi lost the confidence in her. And they revealed that. Whether the dark side was at play or manipulation by soon-to-be Imperials, it was a bad situation for Ahsoka to be in, and the people she trusted the most weren't there for her when she needed them the most. And so when it was all said and done, and her name was cleared, and the Jedi were apologetic, she still walked away because she trusted her gut. That's gut check time for Ahsoka. And so I really appreciate that message.
I actually love that you shared that, because that is... being such a Disney fan, Jiminy Cricket, always let your conscience be your guide. And my mom, she always said that. That was like one of the biggest rules in our house. She always said, trust your gut. So I love that you're passing that on to your sons. And that is, I mean, really, that is what that moment was about. And she didn't know where she was going, but what I love about that scene and the brilliant Joel Aaron, who did the lighting for the Clone Wars, Ahsoka is walking towards the light, and so she's walking away from darkness, walking towards the light. She doesn't know where she's going, but it's light, and that really is who Ahsoka is. I mean, she, to me, in so many ways, represents the light side of the Force. She represents hope. She represents all that's good. And sorry, I could just ramble and go on and on and on.
No. Well, that's okay. I mean, her legend is going on and on and on. We obviously know about the live action Ahsoka series, but we just got treated to Tales of the Jedi, which was great.
Yes.
Had some really good moments, Ahsoka moments in that one. And that must have been really wonderful for you to get back in there and sink your teeth into the character behind the microphone again.
It was really nice. When Dave Filoni told me that Ahsoka Tano was going to be coming to live action and it wasn't going to be me, it was, I mean, I'm not going to lie. It was a very sad day because I would have loved to have played Ahsoka, and I wasn't even given the chance. I found out after the fact, but he promised me that I would always be the voice of Ahsoka in anything animation, and so it was. I don't look at it that way per se from the standpoint of, well, what's next? What am I going to get to do? I really don't. I look at it as just any new project. I just look back with so much gratitude of like, wow. I mean, can you believe that it's been 15 years of Clone Wars and Rebels? And, but whenever I do get that call about a new project, you better believe I'm like beyond excited. That's how it was with Tales of the Jedi. I like to say that stepping back into doing the voice of Ahsoka is like stepping into a really worn-in, comfortable pair of boots. They're those boots that you've already walked miles in and you love them so much. And even when they start to fall apart, you go get them repaired because, they just are molded to your feet and you just, could walk for miles in them. That's how it feels to step back into Ahsoka's boots. And I had so much fun, especially getting to voice Ahsoka really from when she was younger in Clone Wars, like the early days of Clone Wars, all the way through the end of Clone Wars. And even though these were shorts, I like to say that they were more like appetizers. They were jam-packed full of so much information, so many Easter eggs, so many answers to things. And it simultaneously, you cheered her on and then she broke your heart. And I cried, I smiled, I laughed. It was really just such a beautiful, beautiful series.
I look back at what we learned about Ahsoka in Tales of the Jedi, and it's a really well-constructed 3-part story. I like that it opened with baby Ahsoka. We just saw a picture on the screen. How cute was baby Ahsoka?
She was adorable.
Let's be honest. She's cuter than Baby Yoda, right? Baby Ahsoka. If there was a baby contest,
There's a competition now.
Who would win, Ashley?
Who's
Come
the
on.
cutest?
Is this really a fair question? Because you know I'm biased, so I'm always going to pick Baby Ahsoka.
Look at those cheeks.
I know the cheeks. I can't stand it.
But it was really cool because we got to see this force ability with her and the Sabretooth. That connection that she has with animals. I mean, that's something we don't see with every Jedi. And that's one of the things that's really fun about there being so many Jedi is that they all kind of have, their own, as Obi-Wan would say, specialities. And one with Ahsoka happens to be her ability to relate to animals. We see it later with Ezra. We see it with Rey in the sequels. Did you like that your character was given that force ability? Are you an animal lover as well?
Oh, yes. Yes, I loved it. I am an animal lover. My husband would probably tell me he's more of the animal whisperer than I am.
He's really got the Jedi skills with the animals.
He does. I'm more of the kid whisperer. I love kids. Kids usually come to me, and then the animals go to my husband. But I love animals, so I was thrilled with it. I'll take it.
Do you guys have any pets?
Sadly, no.
Yeah, I guess it's hard. You're on the road so often. I guess it's hard,
Yeah.
You're going to conventions. You're going out to LA to record things. It's hard.
We travel so much, and it just wouldn't be fair to the pet to always be gone, to always be, going to another house or staying with family or, going to a pet hotel or boarding. So our families have pets, and trust me, we are always around some sort of pet or animal because we do. We love animals, and I think it's so cool that yes, Ahsoka has that specialty. And it was just really cool to see the role that Ahsoka's family played in her upbringing, because she did take that with her. She did take her value of life with her and her compassion. I loved seeing the relationship between Ahsoka and her mom. And it's so funny because my mom was watching the episode and my mom cried throughout the episode because she really felt a connection between Ahsoka and her mom. And obviously, me and my mom are really close. Right. And it's funny. My mom called me afterwards, just like sobbing. She's like, Ashley, you didn't tell me I would cry so much.
Oh, Mom. But then with the second episode, Practice Makes Perfect, Clone Wars fans, we're so excited because you were back together with Matt and Anakin, and we got to see, that training session, and then that led us to understand, how you did get away at Order 66, which is pretty cool. The Anakin literally trained you to get out of that moment. Mm.
Yes. And in that episode, that's where I cried my eyes out because when I recorded it, we only got the lines that we were recording. And I was going to
ask you that. I'm sorry to interrupt. I was going to ask you that because I was curious if you got the full script so you could, you're Ahsoka Tano, for crying out loud. You're getting your sides, huh?
Filoni's cagey.
No. Oh, yeah. No, Dave only works on a need-to-know basis. So I didn't realize that there was going to be jump cuts. I only got the lines that I needed to say, so I didn't realize what was happening. In my mind, I honestly thought it was just staying in those early days of the early Clone Wars. Yeah. So when I watched the episode, it was devastating. It was absolutely devastating.
That's got to drive you crazy, though. You record these lines like a year ago, and you have to sit around waiting to see what context they fall in, and you must go nuts trying to think in your head, developing these scenarios. I mean, you've done it so many times now, it's just a fact of life. But for me, I would walk out every recording session banging my head up against the wall, trying to crack the code and figure out what the context would be.
Well, after working with Dave Filoni for 15 years, you kind of have to just get used to that. Like I said, he works on a need-to-know basis and definitely has, I think, enjoyed playing with my emotions over the years.
Yeah, he's
with
like
his
that.
T-shirts that say "Ahsoka lives?" ? And with the ending of Rebels, and he didn't tell me what would happen. I actually remember at the end of the Ahsoka Vader fight. So, was it that one? It was either the end of that scene or the end of Rebels, like the World Between Worlds, one of the two. I was supposed to go to the screening and I had no idea what happened. So, no. It was the end of the series. It was the end of the series. That's what it was. So with the whole, Ahsoka the White and Ahsoka and Sabine going off to find Ezra. And so I had no idea how the series ended. And there was a big screening and I couldn't go because I got the flu really bad. I was so sick, super sick where I couldn't even get out of bed. And I just remember the episode even aired on TV and I didn't have Disney XD. So the world saw the episode before I saw the episode.
That is rough. That is rough. I remember when Disney XD was kind of like the new cable channel and you had to make sure that you got it because, it was the only way you were going to see this stuff. I'll tell you one of probably the image from the Tales of the Jedi that sticks with me the most is knowing now that Ahsoka was at Padme's funeral on Naboo. That was quite an image. And it's the way this stuff works. And it truly wouldn't work if you guys weren't so unbelievably talented and so believable as these characters. But when I saw that, I didn't immediately think of, nothing against Natalie Portman or whatever, but I spent so much time with the animated version of Padme. And that's the Padme that I saw with Ahsoka. So all those episodes are flashing back in my head of that friendship that you had, or that the two characters had, rather. And, it wasn't always, I think for them, it wasn't always an easy relationship. I could imagine that it was probably, for Ahsoka, her point of view might have been somewhat frustrating at times. It was a secret she had to keep. They never really came out, I don't think, and told Ahsoka what was going on between the two of them. But to see her at that funeral was really something else. I'm glad we got to see that moment.
Oh, me too. So the story behind that line, where, she says to Bail Organa, she was my friend.
Yeah.
When I read the script, I was just gutted, just absolutely devastated to find out that Ahsoka was there. And when I say devastated, like in a good way, like it was just very touching that Ahsoka would be there because Ahsoka and Padme were so close. And it's something I wish we had been able to explore even more, because I really loved their dynamic and their relationship. But to see that she was there just completely broke my heart. And I started sobbing, like in the recording studio. And so I recorded that scene crying. Like I was like tears just
the emotion
streaming.
comes
like,
through.
Kind of like an ugly cry.
The emotion comes through. It really does. And then Ahsoka becomes a farmer. Like you said, she starts a new chapter. And it seems like, okay, well, this is how it's going to go for her. And then, she's betrayed and she ends up coming back to the services of Bail Organa, kind of back where it all started for her, but in a different way, and we could assume she gets the fulcrum mantle at that point or shortly thereafter. It's just, they did so much in those little appetizers, like you say.
They did.
Not that we don't want more, because we want more.
Yeah.
That's it. I did text Dave Filoni afterwards, and I'm like, geez, now I have more questions than answers. So I'm super grateful for Tales of the Jedi. They were so beautiful, so well done. I'm so grateful we got to do them. But it's like giving someone an appetizer, but then saying, no, you don't get the main course. So I hope we get to explore that time period more, because I actually know very, very little about the Ahsoka series. Like, the only thing I know is the little bit that I got to see the day that I was on the set. So just as a fan, I'm excited to find out more once it comes out. But that's obviously a different time period. It's a future time period. And I still have so many questions about that time period between, Clone Wars and Rebels, and, even more during that Clone Wars time, like we saw. So hopefully we'll get to explore it more one day.
Yeah. And Ahsoka certainly has the stamina, the fan base. I think Lucasfilm should really dive in and just give Ahsoka her own animated series, and we could see everything she was up to. With Ahsoka every day of the week,
That would be a dream come true.
I'm going to switch gears here and talk a little bit about Star Wars Celebration Anaheim, which was great. I mean, we didn't see each other face to face, but I saw you on stage a lot of times. And to me, one of the greatest moments, and so many people I know were talking about this, is when you were up on stage for the Attack of the Clones reunion. You were moderating that. And it came time to ask Hayden Christensen a question, and you said Sky Guy, and there it was. And the people in the know in that audience were impacted by that. Now, granted, some people were just cheering for Hayden, because anytime the spotlight was put on him, people were screaming like the Beatles walked into the Ed Sullivan Theater. But it was when you said Sky Guy, even thinking about it now, my hair starts standing up on my arm. It was that sort of impactful moment to this Clone Wars fan who's been with you for 15 years cheering on Ahsoka. So tell us a little bit about that moment.
Yeah. I mean, I look at this picture right here and it's still surreal. First of all, I have to give a shout out to Chris Argyropoulos at Lucasfilm, who asked me to moderate this panel. It was truly an honor. And as a lifelong Star Wars fan, I mean, it was a dream come true. I could not believe that I was up on that stage moderating that panel. But I had never met Hayden Christensen or Ewan McGregor. So I was hoping to meet them prior to the panel. But the way that the timing worked out, I didn't get to meet them before the panel. So when they came out on that stage, me saying hello to them on stage was literally the first time I had ever met them. And I mean, you want to talk about nerves. Like, I have never been so nervous like in my life. And so when Hayden and Ewan like sat down right next to me, and when I say right next to me, like literally like my arm is like practically touching Hayden Christensen's arm. Like, we were that close. I was so nervous, like I didn't even know what to say. I was trying to like be cool and keep my composure, and I couldn't think of anything to say. So that was not planned. I just was so nervous. I was just like, so Hayden, nice to meet you, Sky Guy. Like,
yeah.
Well, what does one say in that moment? And I had no idea that people were cheering for the fact that I said that to him until literally way later in the day. I just remember everyone stopping and cheering. And Jimmy Mack, you're right. I mean, of course, people were cheering for Hayden Christensen. So I leaned over to him. And if you see in the video, I talked to him. I lean over to him and I'm like, see, Hayden, this is for you. They love you. And it wasn't until later, like several hours later, that someone came up to me and they're like, do you know that you're trending on Twitter? And I'm like, what? Why? Like, how? And they said it was because of that moment. And when I went back and watched the video, I was like, Oh my gosh. I didn't even realize it.
That was great. It was a great moment. And fans were buzzing about it.
You know, I almost didn't get a photo with him afterwards. And then I went back and I was just like, Hayden, can we get a photo? And he stopped and he looked at me and he's like, of course. And then he's like, oh yeah, this is kind of a big deal, isn't it? And so we got a photo together. And then that moment where the two of us are talking, that's him telling me, you know, how much he enjoyed Clone Wars and Rebels and how he thought they were such great series and how he went back and watched them. And I just thought that was so cool. You know, I was honored that he would, you know, take the time and watch the shows and that he would say that. And of course I share with him, you know, how big of a fan I am. And it was really a very cool moment and he couldn't have been nicer.
It is so great. It is so great that happened. And, you know, we got to see the on-screen Anakin. I love that you put him in his place with the Sky Guy. That's great. Hey, did want to mention as well that you put a book out not too long ago. This is the end of October, Star Wars Every Day, a year of activities, recipes, and crafts from a galaxy far, far away. And there it is. There's our girl Ashley on there. And so congratulations on the book. Did you go through? It's all 365 ideas of, you know, keeping Star Wars in your life every single day. Yes. Yeah. You know, it is an honor to have that book out, and the fact that Mike Seglain at Lucasfilm asked me to write it. Writing a Star Wars book is like that is something that I never thought I would do because I just truly didn't think I had the talent or capability to do it. But Mike Seglain, the head of publishing for all of Lucasfilm, called me up one day and he said, hey, I really want to do a lifestyle book for Star Wars, and I think you would be the right person to write it. Would you do it? And, you know, he's such a respected man in Star Wars and in publishing. You know, he's somebody that you don't say no to. So I said, I was so humbled and I said yes. And then I hung up the phone and immediately was like, what the heck did you say yes to? Because I'm like, I can't do this. I can't come up with a year's worth of Star Wars. And I really panicked and I put it off for a very long time because I had about 6 months to write it. And then I saved it until the very end. And I had to write the book. Let's see, it was due January 3rd, 2022. And I didn't start writing it until December 8th, 2021. So I gave myself less than a month to write this book. And it was really because I was just so terrified. And I just didn't think I could, but I have to give credit. My friend Chris helped me do a couple of brainstorms. And that's when I really realized, like, oh my gosh, no, I can do this. I do have a bunch of ideas. And luckily I have to shout out to Elena Craig and Kelly Knox, because I had all the ideas. I came up with a bunch of ideas, but I am not a recipe developer or a professional crafter. So I was able to team up with Elena and Kelly. And I would say, well, what about, I want to do a Yoda punch. And then Elena would come up with a cool recipe. And I was able to share ideas of like, well, I want it to be green and I want it to taste like this. But then Elena would come up with a really cool recipe. And then the same for Kelly. I would say, you know, I want to do, you know, Ewok birdhouses and she would, you know, come up with, she would make it happen. And so it was a really cool teamwork, and it's a year's worth of Star Wars. So it's a combination of recipes, crafts, activities, like how to do a Kessel run in your backyard. And then mindfulness exercises as well. And there's stuff for the entire family. It's for all ages. It's broken out by month.
and every month has a theme, a theme that that's a part of Star Wars. So whether it's hope or love or, family or the dark side, it's all in there. And it really is a great gift for any Star Wars fan. So if you're still looking for a gift for this holiday season, I highly recommend it.
Perfect for this time of year, because a lot of people, I'm sure, are going to have New Year's resolutions. They're going to resolve to be a better Star Wars fan and celebrate it each and every day. Listen to Rebel Force Radio twice a day, every day.
Yeah.
No, it's very, very cool. I love those things that you can sort of plan and plot out, a year's worth of activities. And the cool thing is that it's very seasonal. So you're doing summery things in the summer and wintry things in the winter. So I love it. I'm definitely going to be checking that one out.
Oh, thank you so much.
Author, fashionista. What don't you do? Okay, fashions. Let's talk Ahsoka fashions throughout the years, okay? I want you to tell me. I'm going to give you a bunch of examples here. So I want you to have full representation of every little wardrobe change Ahsoka went through over the years. This is the first one. As represented, this is as represented via action figures, of course.
Oh, all right.
I love it.
This is the original. This is Ahsoka, Clone Wars movie. Here, let me get her.
This is Tube Top Ahsoka here.
Tube Top Ahsoka, if you will. She got the stinky in the back, and I'm not talking, that probably requires people to see the video.
You need the visual for that. Yes, Jabba's little boy there.
So there it is, Tube Top Ahsoka.
Tube Top Ahsoka, I was not fond of the tube top. It wasn't realistic, but I think looking back now, we all look back on it fondly because we have such good memories of those early days of Ahsoka. But I was happy when, she got to retire the tube top.
Ashley, we all have those eras in our life where we're wearing things that we wished we hadn't, So
oh, trust me. I had my tube top days.
Yeah, it's cold in space.
And that's why you were sad for Ahsoka for having to deal with that. Yeah.
Poor Ahsoka.
What was the next one, Mac?
The next one features Ahsoka. She's still in the tube top, but she has a poncho on. And that's sort of like her she's under disguise here. This is a season 1 Ahsoka where she's wearing a poncho. I don't know how stylish that is, if that should be a Her Universe item or not. It looks like a burlap sack, but Ahsoka seems pretty comfortable, at least. She's comfortable, and also it keeps her a little bit more warm, so she's not, her belly's not exposed or whatever.
Yeah.
Is this a tube top? Well, I'm sorry, I shouldn't be doing this in front of everyone looking under Ahsoka's tunic, but I just wanted to see. It is a tube top, I can confirm.
Oh, so you threw some soft goods on there, and voila, it's a new figure.
She's got some warmth there, which I appreciated. You have all these male Jedi, Obi-Wan in his robe and tunic, and Anakin with all sorts of armor, and then you put Ahsoka in a tube top.
Yeah, what's with that?
Well, that's why the potato sack isn't such a bad idea.
No.
Remember the Brady Bunch when they had the potato sack races in the backyard, Jan?
Yes.
Did you just?
Yes, they did.
I did just call her Jan, Jason. Do you know why I just called her Jan?
I think I know why. Ashley, if you don't mind, we're going to remind folks here about one of your on-screen roles.
Oh, yes.
Some time ago.
Jan, are you working on your science project too?
I was going to start. You put it off, didn't you, Jan? I couldn't go to the store because my bike tires were flat. Because you didn't pump them up. Well, even if I did make the butterfly habitat, all the caterpillars died. Because you forgot to put the air holes in the box. Idiot. Isn't this a wonderful day?
Here comes Marsha. But yes, that's right. That was Ashley Eckstein as Jan Brady in the Brady Bunch in the White House.
Oh my gosh. I love that you just played that clip, by the way. I loved playing Jan Brady.
How fun is that? And of course, they were playing off of, the poor Jan. She had like the imaginary boyfriend, George Glass.
George Glass.
Awesome. That's
one of the greatest pieces of merchandise I ever saw. Actually, I don't know if you ever saw this, but Funko put out a Funko Pop 2-pack of Jan Brady with George Glass. And there was no other figure in the 2-pack.
Absolutely brilliant.
And I think Jan had the telephone in her hand. So she just got out of conversation with George Glass. Oh, we got more Ahsoka toys here.
More Ahsoka. These aren't toys, Jason. This is a fashion show. This is a fashion show.
Okay.
All right, this is midway through season 3. Ahsoka got a wardrobe upgrade. All the characters did, and they looked much more realistic, and Ahsoka looks much more like she's ready for Jedi Knight activity with this this updated version of her old outfit. It looks like the tube top is gone, thank God. She's got some armbands on. Those are sharp armbands. Loincloth is still there, the Ahsoka loincloth.
I think this is my favorite Ahsoka look right here. I think this is one.
So, Jason, you actually just took the words from my mouth because when people ask me what my favorite Ahsoka costume is, I actually share that it's this costume. And it's still not the most practical, but we spent so much time with Ahsoka in this costume. And I have so many fond memories of Ahsoka in this moment of time. And so if I had to pick one, it would be this costume.
It's a good one. It's a good one. And it was a much welcomed wardrobe upgrade for our little pal, our little Snips. Now, here's a variation on that in a way. This is underwater Ahsoka, I believe.
Oh, yeah.
Do it that way. And there she
look
has
at that.
her underwater diving helmet on, along with the loincloth is still there. She has a new belt, same old boots. But she's ready for the
underwater. You can take her in the bathtub.
Mm-hmm.
I think, so that was underwater, but then do you also have like spacesuit Ahsoka? Because didn't she have...
Well, maybe this is spacesuit Ahsoka.
Oh, is that spacesuit Ahsoka?
This must be spacesuit Ahsoka because that's a space helmet. Is it not? I think I might have mixed them up. I think this one could be underwater Ahsoka. This one might be underwater Ahsoka because I...
Oh, well, that's Star Wars Rebels Ahsoka.
Oh, wait. Hold on a
Look
second.
at Jimmy Mack look at Jimmy Mack getting schooled on his action figures.
Well, hey, I could be wrong. I thought there was a spacesuit Ahsoka that was like maroon, but maybe I'm getting it mixed up.
Oh, wait a second.
It's been a minute.
Okay, that's... I never clean up my toys after I'm done playing with them. This is underwater Ahsoka, I believe. Maybe?
Yeah.
Could it be?
I think so,
I think
too.
this is it, yes.
I think so,
well, regardless, it's a pretty cool looking...
Oh, yeah, that looks more like a wetsuit. Yeah, that's underwater Ahsoka.
Ahsoka looks like a badass in this one, She looks ready to... She looks rough and tumble, ready for some action. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that action figure is actually really rare. I've barely signed any of that action figure.
Ooh, is that right? Yeah, I think it did come out like after the run, after the Clone Wars was wrapped. But
that almost looks like Ahsoka in an Iron Man suit.
Yeah, crossover. Yeah. What if?
Okay.
Yeah.
So here's Rebels Ahsoka. And she does look, she looks like she's been through a lot.
She's older and wiser.
She looks a little tired.
She looks very tired. I don't know if those are bags under her eyes or what, but I
think it's the war paint.
I'm not too sure there. But I do love the Rebels look. I think Ahsoka in Rebels is just so cool looking, and I do love her costume there.
And then here she is in the final season of Clone Wars, fighting alongside the Mandos. And
absolutely. I have
and trusting her gut. That's what she does.
I have something fun, which, by the way, can we talk about the fact that this whole interview, I've just had Chewbacca here.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I think it's really funny.
He's holding up the bass. He's holding up the bass section in the quartet.
I know. You just see Chewbacca just a bit. But so my friends Chris and Beth and Olivia and Maddie just gave me this this Christmas gift. And it's
that's a great one.
It's my face.
Oh my gosh. Look at that.
Ahsoka.
Look at that.
That's the Hasbro selfie series, I think. Or is that
that's custom? The I'm Ashley Eckstein. I got to figure no one else has series. That's what I think. That's a custom.
Yeah, I don't think they offer Ahsoka as far as that goes.
That is so cool.
They actually found someone on Instagram, a guy named Tim, and he scanned in a picture, I guess, of my face and then did a custom mold. So I thought it was pretty cool.
Wow,
and then this one,
very cool.
I feel like you really see my face in this one, but they gave me two of them, and I don't know. I mean, I do see a little bit of myself, but this is more my personality. Like if you were to merge my personality with Ahsoka, it would be this. So they
smiling,
look at that,
laughing.
It's got
having a good time.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm trying.
That
to
is so cool. So some days, some days are like that, and then other days are like the other way, are like that.
Yeah.
Just to let David know what kind of mood you're in the morning, you should just put one of those on the kitchen counter so he sees it. Happy Ahsoka.
That's true. That's true. Well, it's so funny because at the beginning of every episode, I was always laughing in the studio. Like each episode was practically like how much it was like a challenge of like how much could they get me to laugh and just giggle all throughout. And to the point where Dave would he would say, okay, Ashley, ball up he would call it my cuteness. He's like, that there's no room for that in the studio. Ball up your cuteness and throw it out. And so I would always beg Dave, and I'm like, come on, why can't we get Ahsoka to laugh more? Like, of course she would laugh. And I would always try to sneak in, a laugh or more smiles. And he would always say, nope, Ahsoka doesn't laugh. She doesn't smile. And so I love the fact that, my friends, they really know me well, and they got me a smiling Ahsoka.
You need to text a picture of that figure to Filoni and say, see, Dave, she does smile after all.
Yeah. We'll start a new hashtag. Hashtag Ahsoka Smiles. Maybe that'll catch on.
That's true. That's true.
It sounds
I'll
like
experiment with that.
Ahsoka Smiles.
Ahsoka Smiles. All right, we'll have to do that.
Well, you bring smiles to our faces every time we see you, and I know you do that for thousands and thousands and thousands of fans all over the place. You have one of the busiest schedules. I think you're going to be like the Stan Lee of Star Wars if you want it. I think that if you want, you're going to be 80 years old, and people are still going to be queuing up for miles to talk to you. And I mean that as a compliment, because you take a guy like that had been in that world for so long, and people still wanted to be around him, hear stories, get his autograph for the 15th time. And that's the love and the affection that people have, I think, for you.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you. I said this at Star Wars Celebration, but I really, from the bottom of my heart, I mean it. When I get the chance to meet fans and, especially at conventions, I know my lines are long, and it's in part because I talk to everyone. I want to meet everyone. I want to hear your stories. And, it may only be 3 to 5 minutes when people come up, but when we chat for those 3 to 5 minutes, I am like lock focused. To me, nobody else is in the room. It is just whoever I am talking to, and I want to hear your stories. Your stories mean so much to me. I feel so blessed and so privileged to be a part of this universe, to be, to have originated the character of Ahsoka Tano and be associated with this character. And the fact that people would trust me and want to come and meet me and share your stories with me means the absolute world or the universe to me. So as long as fans want to come meet me, I can promise you that you will always have my attention and my full heart and care. And I hope that I get to be like Stan Lee and for the rest of my life get to go and meet Star Wars fans all over the world.
Well, Stanley or not, Ashley, I have nice things to say too, Jason. So let me do that.
Oh, okay, please.
But Stan Lee is not the bar. The bar has already been set by you. I think you're absolutely exceptional at fan interaction. And I've been behind the scenes at a lot of these conventions. Jason has too. I don't think I've ever seen anyone who devotes everything she has to giving her all to the fans. And I see you do this. And it's because you've always had confidence in the character of Ahsoka, and I've known this since 2008. You told me back then, you're like, people are going to see her grow, and they're going to love her, and you just really had a lot of confidence in the character. And I think that rubbed off not only on the fan base, but in your performance, obviously, and the way that the fans connected you to the character. And I hope I'm not pulling back the curtain too far, but last time you were in Chicago, I said to David, I said, hey, have you guys, while you're in town, you guys get out to any restaurants or anything? And he said, are you kidding me? That's impossible. We can never do that because Ashley is exhausted every day after these things. And I see why. It's because you are giving 1,000% to all of those interactions. And it's not fake. It's not phony. It's the most real thing that I've seen an actor connect with their audience. It's the most real I've ever seen. So God bless you for that.
Well, thank you. The two of you, Star Wars fans, the Star Wars universe, it's really changed my life. And I feel like I've won the lottery and getting the chance to originate the character of Ahsoka Tano and play this character for 15 years. And I will continue to strive every single day of my life to live up to the honor that was given to me. And I'm just honored that I get to do it. And so thank you. I view it as a privilege, and I will continue to give it my all. But yes, I am a boring date after a convention because David and I pretty much, after the day's up, it is exhausting in the best of ways, in the absolute best of ways. But we just go back to the room and get some sort of Uber Eats or carry out and just go to bed and come back the next day. But thank you for your kind words. It really means the world to me. And for as long as I am able, I will continue to give my entire heart and soul to this character and to this fandom and this fan base.
Well, we know it. That's one thing I am most 1,000% certain of is that you will follow through on that. And you're probably exhausted from talking to me and Swank. I'm sure we wore you out too. So there goes dinner again. Uber Eats. What do you guys like to order from Uber Eats when you're out on the road? God. What are you looking for?
Well, we're pretty boring too. I found out that dairy, eggs, and peanuts, I'm actually allergic to them.
Oh no.
And it causes migraines. So we're usually ordering from some health place that I can guarantee is dairy-free, egg-free. David's gluten-free. We're just a hot mess. I love a good French fry. And an occasional vegan cheese pizza. But yeah, we're pretty boring. Mexican's always a safe one.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, we're pretty boring. I mean, I remember once we got a call. This was back, shortly after David retired, and we were always getting called to do to do reality shows because they would want to do reality shows on Baseball Wives.
Yeah.
And I'll always take a meeting if you call up and want to talk to us about a show or something. I'll always take the meeting because you never know. But I remember they called us up and they said, we want to meet with David and Ashley about this new show for baseball families and baseball wives. And so we went thinking that we were going to meet with like the producers and just have like a general meeting. Well, we show up and it's an audition. And, we're both sitting behind the camera and they're asking us these questions. And you could tell they were trying to get like juicy gossip and details. And they were asking us about what we disagree about and what we fight about and what we do in our free time. And David and I, we just answered the questions honestly, but we're boring people, really. And so
by boring in that you get along, you actually love each other, and no drama.
Yeah,
kind of boring.
Our ideal night in is watching, reality television and ordering pizza, and so finally the casting director stopped the audition tape, and she was like, "I'm sorry, but why are you guys here?" We started laughing, and we're like, "You asked us to come. We don't know why we're here." And she literally said, she goes, "I'm sorry, but you all are pretty boring." And we're like, "We know."
And proud of it.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. That's unbelievable. That's amazing. That is amazing. Wow. Well, Ashley,
I'd like to see the tape, though. I'm sure it'd be entertaining. Even though.
Is there anything coming up in the new year that you want to let folks know about, or what's the best way for people to stay in touch with what's going on in your world? I know you got obviously Her Universe, so you can go over to the heruniverse.com for the website. But
there's always new collections, new designs on heruniverse.com. I actually got to design a Star Wars collection and a Spider-Man collection just by myself for Shop Disney and Disney Parks. So if you go to shopdisney.com and you just type in Ashley Eckstein, you'll see a new Star Wars collection called Guided by the Light. That is available now on Shop Disney. It's inspired by Ahsoka Tano, and it's covered in reflective material. So that hoodie there and that beanie and the shirt. We have like a deconstructed fulcrum symbol, and it's really just a reminder to be guided by the light. It's inspired by Episode 9 and the fact that Ahsoka was included in Rise of Skywalker. And she says, or the past Jedi say, "In the night, find the light and let it guide you as it guided us." And so it's a whole collection that's meant to be a reminder that even if you can't see it, there's always light. So that's available now. Again, if you're looking for any last minute gifts or looking to spend some gift cards. But next year is going to be a really exciting year. I'm doing, like 18 different conventions. So I'll be traveling all over the nation, doing different shows. So I'll be sharing all of those shows very, very soon. And then I did release this past year a digital series called Star Wars Mindful Matters. It's on StarWarsKids.com, but they're 2 to 3 minute short videos where they I teach a Star Wars lesson, and it's combined with a clinically based mindfulness exercise, and it's really teaching, you know, the mental lessons of Star Wars, because, you know, the mental lessons of Star Wars are almost more important than the physical lessons. I mean, you know, Luke teaches Rey that confronting fear is the destiny of a Jedi. You know, and Jedi Master Yoda says a Jedi must have the deepest commitment, the most serious mind. And so I think these are lessons that we don't always talk about. You know, it's always like the flashy, more fun, you know, lightsaber training, but confronting fear, learning patience, learning to be present. These are all lessons that Luke and Rey and Ahsoka and Anakin, you know, that they all had to learn. So these 5 videos, they're safe for kids and appropriate for kids, but also for adults. They're for Star Wars fans of all ages. So I definitely ask if you could just help me share these videos, because they would really, really be helpful. And they're meant to be videos that you do daily. Especially for kids, though. These are really valuable lessons for kids to learn. And then one thing, I can't say too much about it, but I am working on a completely new story. It's not Star Wars. It's a completely new franchise that doesn't exist yet. And I'm one of the co-creators, and I'll be the voice of the lead character and executive producer. And so stay tuned, because we're assembling an incredible team and cast. And if you like Star Wars, you're going to like this story. So I'm excited to share a new character with you all that, trust me, is just as inspiring as Ahsoka Tano.
Wow. I had no idea you had something like this in the works. That is great news. This is fantastic. So is there a target date for when this might be released? What are we looking at?
Well, we are definitely hoping for the end of the year. It's an audio drama, I can tell you that. I'm very excited about it. But we're just in the early stages of getting started. So don't quote me on anything, but it's coming, and it's a really, really great story that's going to inspire a lot of people.
Wow. Well, congrats. We're looking forward to that. You know me from our experience working on the Star Wars Smuggler audio dramas live at Star Wars Celebration, that I am certainly one to go for audio dramas and adventures like that. So the format's the best. You're the best. Say goodbye to your favorite Ahsoka. This is the one you like.
Yes, that is my favorite Ahsoka. But I just have to say thank you to you both, and to all of your listeners. The fact that you've supported me from my very, very first interview, and we have done countless interviews over the years, some of my absolute favorite chats. You've been with me on my birthday. We've chatted over the holidays, at premieres. Your support truly means the world to me, and I just cannot thank you enough for just always being there and always showing up and being kind. That means the world to me. Kindness is so powerful, and I appreciate your kindness.
Thank you very much. That's very sweet. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year to you and the whole family. Take care.
You as well. Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, Happy Holidays. And I really hope for you and your families and everyone listening that this is the beginning of your best year yet.
Yes. Thank you so much. Well said.
Thanks.
Thank you. Ashley Eckstein, ladies and gentlemen.
Love you, Snips.
You're stuck with me, Sky Guys.
Hey, this is Dave Filoni of Star Wars The Clone Wars, and you are listening to Rebel Force Radio with Jason and Jimmy.
One of the greatest things about Ashley, she embodies it. On screen, off screen, when you meet her, have you ever met her and found her in a bad mood? Never.
Never.
She always has a smile for everybody. Yeah. She is tough, and I'll say it again, of all decisions I made, she was the best. So proud of her. So proud.
Hey, Hey there, this is Ashley Eckstein, voice of Ahsoka Tano from Star Wars The Clone Wars, and you are listening to Rebel Force Radio.
Rebel Force Radio.
You've already made that Star Wars reference.
Your source for the Force.
Star Wars parody!
All right, Star Wars back in pop culture, and we've got a festive edition of Star Wars in pop culture this week.
This is festive. It's so festive. It has to be to follow up that conversation we just had with Ashley, which was awesome. Instead of asking her favorite action figure, I should have asked her, what's your favorite Star Wars parody? Maybe we should add that to the Yoda questionnaire.
Oh, there's so many of them now. Everybody's got to have one. I bet, you'll get a lot of Spaceballs. And,
there's just been so many. There has to be a favorite Star Wars parody. So maybe we should consider adding that to the old Yoda questionnaire.
I don't even know what my own
2023.
favorite Star Wars parody is. I'd have to think about it.
You'd have to think about it. Yeah. Well, simple questions.
Yeah.
That sometimes require a bit of thought. All right. Star Wars and pop culture.
All right.
Now, our friend Jeff Ulisny, Puppet Lando's producer, Jeff Ulisny.
Oh, now I'm
the
listening.
man responsible for the musical arrangements and lyrics for the Puppet Lando songs. We hope someday will be made into a vinyl collectible that you can put on your turntable and spin tunes. Hear Puppet Lando crooning to you right off of your own damn turntable as you enjoy festive eggnog like my friend Swank here is. Jeff Ulisny writes to us and says, the last Rick and Morty episode of this season is pretty much one big Star Wars reference. Episode 10, Rictional Mortpoons Rickmas Mortcation.
What kind of
I'll say it
language
again.
is that? What
it's kind of fun
Latin?
to say. Rictitional Mortpoons Rickmas Mortcation. That's the title of the episode. I don't watch enough of Rick and Morty to know what the show's all about or even what that title could possibly mean. As a matter of fact, full disclosure, I've never seen Rick and Morty in my life. I've never watched an episode of that show. Swank?
No,
It's
never.
very popular.
Never. No, but apparently
we've had friends tell us, hey, you should watch Rick and Morty.
they have a podcast. I'm looking at this picture from a Rick and Morty episode, and there they are sitting there with their little recorder and their microphones, and
they're podcasters themselves.
Yeah, right.
That's probably why we never watched their show.
Oh yeah, it's just too.
We're the podcasters around here. I was just talking to somebody over the weekend, back when there were no Star Wars podcasts.
Mm-hmm.
There was like you and me, and it was the early days of podcasting. It was the Wild West. But we would show up at events, Star Wars events, and they'd be like, oh, the podcast guys are here. And everyone knew it was us.
The
I miss the
podcast
old
guys.
days. We were the podcast guys back in the old days. Now if you say, hey, podcast guy, every head turns. Everyone has
Yeah,
a
they look at
podcast.
themselves. Oh, you're talking about me.
There was a time when Swank and I were the podcast guys.
I think
Okay.
we're still the podcast guys.
Quit being so grumpy. It's Christmas time. It's holiday season. Stop it with that. Rick and Morty, ladies and gentlemen. Rick and Morty. Everyone loves Rick and Morty.
Yeah.
Very popular, super popular. And I think they've had Star Wars references before on Star Wars and pop culture. But this episode's one big Star Wars reference. And I could attest that the parts of it that I watched, spoiler alert, I'm not going to reveal anything about maybe more than the first few minutes of the episode. Okay?
Because this is
that's
the
all I
most
watched.
recent
I'm
episode
going to go
of the
back
show,
and watch
right?
the rest. But what's that?
This is the most recent episode of the show, of the series.
I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
So no spoilers.
Yeah. It's got a Christmas edge to it. Because for Christmas, Rick, or is it Morty?
Is he the
it's
old guy?
Rick. Rick is the old guy.
Okay.
He gives Morty a Christmas present. And it's a legitimate, for reals, Star Wars lightsaber. The real deal.
Wow.
Okay, it looks to be Luke's lightsaber from Return of the Jedi. That type of style.
Okay.
So picture it in your head. Luke Skywalker's lightsaber. Mm-hmm. It might be Blue Blade. I can't remember. So that would make it not Luke's. But the hilt looked like Luke's.
Okay.
So here is that moment of the show when Rick receives the lightsaber from Morty for Christmas.
Morty, you asked for this a long, long time ago, and I finally went far, far away enough to get it, since shipping would have killed me.
You didn't? No f***ing way!
No
f***ing way! Does it make the noises?
Of course it makes the noises. That's like half the fun.
Awesome!
Whoa, do not turn that on.
Don't worry. Morty's only going to use this very honorable weapon in designated Jedi zones, like the garage right now.
Holy crap! I hate to say it, but I wish there was something to attack.
Yeah, it's too bad nobody bought a cart of fruit.
You beautiful son of a bitch!
Grapefruit, mango, papaya, watermelon, a second papaya, another watermelon. Strike me down.
What?
Strike me down.
I'm not striking you down.
Strike me down, Morty. I'll become a pile of clothes like that old guy.
But you'll die. You're drunk.
Here, I'll do it myself.
No! Oh, wow, you did it. Just like Obi-Wan. Rick, you can come out now. I'm serious. Did you, become your clothes? Are you T-shirt Rick now?
Over here, butt fart.
Ooh, that was awesome!
Right?
What I tell you.
Dude, I'm going to start watching Rick and Morty.
That's funny stuff.
This stuff is hilarious.
I thought it was a kid's show. I did. It's not a kid's show.
It doesn't appear. It's Adult Swim.
Okay. Well, there you go.
Uh-huh.
Not for
Adult
the
Swim. No, well, not the kiddies. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like anybody under the age of 7. Most kids are watching Adult Swim, ladies and gentlemen. So
yeah.
Okay. Rick and Morty. These guys are hilarious. So he gives them a real legit lightsaber and takes him out to the garage and starts chucking produce at him. And he's slicing and dicing. And then Morty pulls this stunt. And the kid goes, "You're drunk." And he's... God, that is some funny stuff. All right, so the kid has this real lightsaber, right?
Mm-hmm.
And he drops it while it's ignited, and it's pointing straight downward. So they live in some kind of big fortress that goes way underground, multiple levels. I don't know what the deal is with this crazy show, but multiple levels underground. And listen, don't anybody be emailing me and leaving voicemail and stuff explaining Rick and Morty to me, okay? I'm just going to delete it. There's only one way I have to experience this show, and it's to watch it from season 1, episode 1, which is a task I may take on here as we get into the holiday season and I have some more time on my hands. Be binging that in the Bad Batch, one after another. I'll flip-flop. I'll go from Rick and Morty to Bad Batch. By the end of the whole binge, both series will have melded in my head, making it
so
Rick and Morty
Omega
and the Bad Batch.
There with Rick. And
this is going to be an exciting experiment. So he drops the saber, and they try to catch it. They go down all of these levels through an elevator, and they can't catch it. So then all of a sudden... like someone from the Fed shows up in a helicopter at their house and he's asking questions. This is like, FBI, CIA type stuff going on here. And so the kid, Rick, he goes outside to talk to the government agent who apparently he knows somehow.
All right.
The show is nuts. Put yourself in all the Rick and Morty fans are out there laughing at me right now. They're like, oh, look at that tired old guy trying to get caught up on Rick and Morty. Listen to him. He's babbling like an idiot on that show. Okay, I get that. But this stuff is so damn funny, I have to bring it with you, no matter how half-assed a presentation I'm going to lay on you. So here it is. The guy from the federal government is confronting Rick about the lightsaber he dropped straight down.
Mm-hmm.
You got something to tell me, Morty?
Merry Christmas?
Who dropped the lightsaber perfectly f***ing vertical?
Oh,
Guess what, numbnuts? It's a mile deep and still going. You know what's in the hilt of that thing?
Kyber crystals!
Okay, nerd. Whatever it is, when it hits the core, it's gonna cause a chain reaction that destroys the Earth.
It is?
Why are you still playing with laser swords anyway? You're 14! You know all that Star Wars shit is silly, right? Lucas promised a new trilogy for decades. Then, when he delivered, fans turned on him and started giving any knucklehead with nerd cred a shot and churned out these irredeemable cash grabs. Half pretend to be satisfied, half shit on it. And in the end, no one's happy. Do you know why, Morty? Because when you start with a turd, you end with a turd. Why are you crying? Where's Rick?
He's busy, and I hate him. And I lost my lightsaber, and now it might destroy Earth, and you're unloading all this Gen X hatred on me for even wanting one, and it's the worst Christmas ever.
Okay, Morty. I shouldn't have talked to you like you're a UN official. Let's get your embarrassing-ass lightsaber back so you can swing it around instead of kissing girls.
Oh, man. Wow.
Oh, my goodness.
Wow. So that is some tough love there, maybe. That is some harsh criticism of where Star Wars began and where it is now. I think the guy said, once you start with a turd, you end up with a turd. So he's calling the original 1977 Star Wars film a turd during the holiday season. And then that's when I stopped watching Rick and Morty. So I still have to watch the rest of the episode. And I was like, wow, we already got 2 hearty chunks of funny audio from that episode. I'm going to put this sucker aside so I could sit down and really enjoy this Rick and Morty show. This is going to be my gateway to Rick and Morty super fandom. I could just tell, because that is some funny stuff. So I don't know what happens, and I didn't want to know because I don't want to spoil it for you guys since it's such a fresh episode and everything. Let's all discover the wonder of Rick and Morty together, and that's what I'm going to do. Probably right after we turn these microphones off, I'm going to watch the rest of the episode and report to everyone. I'll report to everyone in 2023 about my introduction to Rick and Morty and where that takes me.
We won't see Mac until 2024 because he's going to bury himself and watch, I don't know, how many seasons. This has been on for a while, Rick and Morty. Rictional, Mort Poons, Rickmas,
6
Mortification.
We're in 6 seasons of Rick and
That's
Morty.
Manageable.
So I think that's just enough to scramble my eggs and drive me insane if I binge it all at once. That should be fun. I don't normally binge shows, but I've been looking for something to watch. I've been watching the old Super Friends on HBO Max.
Oh,
I was like, wow, best. I haven't seen this stuff since the 70s.
Oh my god!
I'm watching it. And there's magic tips and safety information and decoder puzzles and stuff. Boy, that show was a hoot. And then also you get a lot of action and adventure with all your favorite superheroes.
Meanwhile, in the Hall of Justice.
Right. Oh, the memories. So why I stumbled onto that, I don't know. I almost was going to send Steve Glosson a text the other night saying, hey, is it okay if at like 53 years old I'm binge watching the Super Friends? I really knew that he would, of course, give me all the encouragement I needed.
He would have blessed it. He would have blessed it.
Yeah.
You know what I've been binging?
What?
It's the holiday season, and I have been watching many a low-budget rom-com on the Hallmark Channel. Yeah, that's right. All those Christmas romantic comedies. Saw one with Henry Winkler the other night, The Fonz. Mm-hmm. I stopped watching it because, I needed to go attend to, my family and my children. But don't worry, I came back and I watched the rest of it.
Wait. Now, listen, everybody's known for years and years that Mrs. Swank is the one who controls the remote control. She has that.
This is not true. This is not true.
This sounds like this is something you're watching on your own. You're going into Christmas rom-com territory by yourself?
In this case, yes, I was. There happened to be some football on. I wasn't partaking in the football, so I was in the bedroom watching Hallmark rom-coms. Yeah. Now
so let me get this right.
Say it that way. It sounds sad, but I wasn't sad in the moment.
Really sad.
I was watching the Fonz. Wow. It was the Fonz. Henry Winkler. He was this lovable, gruff.
It was Henry Winkler in a rom-com.
Was trying to hook up his niece with this dude, and all right, I got.
And where was your wife again?
She was watching football
in the next room.
Well, when you put it that way. All right.
JT Kenobi from the Cheesehead Garrison is checking in. Wisconsin's own JT Kenobi. He's got a Star Wars reference for us. Well, sounds like something you would love, Swank.
Yeah.
It's from the 2012 Hallmark Christmas movie, It's Christmas, Carol, starring our very own princess, Carrie Fisher, as a dead ex-boss of a publishing executive. Is that getting you excited, Jason? You know, something like that? Is that churning your butter?
Well, I'm intrigued. Yeah, I'm intrigued.
It's a take on the classic Christmas Carol, duh, with Carrie haunting the exec's life in order to teach her some good life lessons and helping her to regain sight of what's truly important.
Okay.
This is from JT Kenobi, as I said. Mm-hmm. It's Christmas Carol. This is from 2012. If it was made today, it might be It's Christmas Karen, and it would be a compilation of a bunch of TikTok videos of ladies yelling at service workers and fast food attendants all across the United States. But no, It's Christmas Carol. And this is a classic at JT Kenobi's house and soon in Jason's house.
I'll be looking this one up later.
Yeah.
It's Christmas Eve, and you've come to warn me that I'm squandering my life. Oh, what's it called?
Miracle on 34th Street?
No.
It's a Wonderful Life.
No.
Not Star Wars.
No. A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens.
There you go.
Not Star Wars.
Carrie Fisher herself making the Star Wars reference.
Yeah.
Not the first time. Not the first time Carrie has appeared outside of the Star Wars franchise making references to Star Wars in character as someone else. Yeah. Not like Carrie sitting on a talk show set or something. But she was in an episode of 30 Rock where I believe there was some Star Wars references being made.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, the fanboys.
Yeah, right.
Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back. Well,
I think she was playing herself there, wasn't she?
I think she was. No, she was playing a nun.
Oh, she was
that one.
Of course she was.
That picked up a hitchhiking Jay and Silent Bob, and hilarity ensued. I think there was a Star Wars reference in there. I can't remember. But there she is in the Hallmark Christmas movie, It's Christmas, Carol. And that's something. Jason, you could rent that on Vudu or Amazon if that's something you're looking for to
How do you know
watch
I don't
as
have
you
a
sip your
premium
nog?
subscription to the Hallmark channel?
Oh, of course you do. What am I saying?
I mean, Hallmark
you
channel
have it right
Plus,
at your
man.
fingertips. Yeah, I'm sure it's on the app or what have you. Oh, God. So that's it. Thank you so much for everyone for a whole year of Star Wars pop culture references. You brought it all to us, and we brought it right back to you. So send your tips and suggestions for Star Wars references in any TV show, stand-up comedy act, talk show conversation. I mean, anywhere. It's just like podcasts. I don't want really Star Wars references from like podcasts. Like, oh, I was listening to a sports podcast and somebody said "Feel the Force." I don't care about that. I'm talking. We're thinking big. Think like Hallmark Channel level.
Yes,
big. We want the big stuff. So you see them, send them to us, and we'll play them for you here on Star Wars and Pop Culture.
You must contact me.
Play back the entire message.
What message?
Message, Doctor, the message.
The Emperor commands you to make contact with him. It's a trick. Send no reply.
Hey, Jimmy and Jason, this is Noah from Gridley. Just a couple of thoughts on this past year for Star Wars and RFR, and then what I'm most excited for this year. The highlight for me this year was Celebration in Anaheim. My wife and I both went to the rooftop bash, and that was just a great time. We got to hang out with Eric from Phoenix and his wife, and we had previously met them at an RFR gathering back at Celebration Chicago. So it was just nice to catch up with them. I'm looking forward to this year, though. I'm most excited to watch Mando with my wife. She's been somewhat of a Star Wars fan, but she's gotten way more invested in it just within the last year and a half, 2 years. She let me name our son Kanan, so I think that's a win for me and for Star Wars. And finally, I just hope we get some kind of news for Star Wars on the big screen. The shows are good, but I miss the feeling of going to an opening night for a new Star Wars movie. But thanks for what you guys do, and hope you guys have a great holiday season.
You know, he's not wrong, Noah. And Jim, I kind of felt this over the weekend. I ended up, long story short, getting a new TV. And, when you get a new TV, you want to kick the tires on it, right? What do you do to kick the tires? You got to fire up a Star Wars film.
Absolutely.
So I actually grabbed, I know there's probably some people are going to groan, but I don't know why I have this nostalgia for The Phantom Menace. I tend to gravitate towards that film. And
no groan here, man.
Especially because I'm, it's so grand, and the colors and the Naboo, cityscape and all of that is just so beautiful. And I really wanted to see how this TV was performing, so I threw it in. And of course, you got the crawl and the fanfare and the star. And I got to tell you, it hasn't happened in a while. I got goosebumps when I saw that Star Wars logo flash on the screen, and a long time ago in a galaxy far, far away, and the fanfare and the crawl and all of that. Mm-hmm. And it really did make me pause and go, wow, I miss Star Wars in the movie theater. Even though I was watching it on TV, but that moment just made me remember how incredibly impactful, even if the movie you're about to watch isn't going to be your favorite Star Wars movie, it's still a great moment.
Oh, yeah. I mean, come on. The Phantom Menace was visually stunning upon its arrival in 1999. And anyone who tells you otherwise, they were not in a movie theater in 1999. That was the rise of the computer-generated graphic and what can be done with it, especially as far as interaction with live action. And the integration into all of that was done through my eyes seamlessly at the time. Now, sure, people look at the Phantom Menace, they know how the sausage is made, and they look at it and maybe they say it looks cartoony or CGI or too dated or whatever. But at the time, it was truly an astonishment to see that film on the silver screen, especially the first time. There were things going on in there that just really had me puzzled beyond belief. But again, now we take it all for granted because we've lived with the film for 23 years, and all the information about how it was done is very clear, and the pushback, there's always pushback. Heck, there was pushback to the green screen back then, and there's pushback nowadays to the stagecraft technology, the volume that they use in The Mandalorian show. So, I mean, the more things change, the more they stay the same. But, Jason, I'm with you. I still think the Phantom Menace was, when it was released, a great viewing experience. And to me, I enjoy any time I can revisit that film. So the TV, though, it's a good one?
Yeah, it's a great TV. It looks great. Yeah. All the Star Wars films that I threw on it, I was putting the discs on, the 4K discs. They look beautiful. I got one that is supposed to handle that HDR a little bit better, so I'm going to throw Solo in there because everyone tells me, well, your TV, it looks too dark because of your TV. I'm like, all right, fine. So I'm going to give that a whirl over the, the holiday break.
Yeah. When I was at Rancho Obi-Wan, they had one of those newfangled TVs with the 4K and the blacks aren't crunched or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. Blacks. I was like, oh, good, yeah. So what did I put on? Well, the original, A New Hope, right away. That was the first one. Yeah, I might have messed around, dove in and out of a few episodes of The Mandalorian, and then went on with my day. But I had to test out that TV.
I noticed with the real high def stuff in 4K is you notice the textures on the costumes a lot more. Like you get a sense of what the weight of the fabric, the nap of the fabric. That really surprised me. A detail that I hadn't really noticed.
I was watching the morning news, and the anchor woman had a little speck of something on her shirt, and I was just fixated on that thing the whole broadcast. I couldn't think of anything else. I'm like, why isn't somebody telling her there's that little speck on her shirt? I'm like, oh, these TVs are too damn clear nowadays. I shouldn't be noticing that.
Yeah.
But so that was a great call we just got there from Noah, and he named his son Kanan. Kanan. So I while we were listening to that voicemail, I did a little bit of research because I was like, wow, that's very interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of anyone naming their son Kanan. Could this be catching on as a result of Star Wars Rebels' popularity? So I dug into the babycenter.com, the home of baby name research.
Mm-hmm.
And I noticed Kanan was not on their top 25 list of most popular
How
names.
are you spelling it?
Kanan, like Kanan Jarrus.
Right. Now, there is another version of Kanan. It's
This is a Star Wars podcast. This is a Star Wars conversation. And so Noah is using the Star Wars spelling.
All right.
So I'm not even good. Even if Noah tells me that he's spelling it differently, I will not accept that answer.
Because I think that's how he got it past the wife.
Oh, I see.
It's a biblical name, honey. Kanan.
It does have its origins in Indian languages.
With a K.
So, yeah, with a K.
Yeah, with a K. We're still talking about the K version.
Yes.
Okay.
So Kanan, it says it means forest. Kanan means forest.
Okay.
And where does it lie on the popularity list for most popular male baby names? Do you want to take a guess, Jason, where it lands?
Wait, is this the top what? I mean, how big's the range here? All names?
Every name that's in
Kanan with a
existence.
K.
Yes.
I'm going to go with it's in the 2000s.
Well, not quite. It's number 1370.
Oh,
1,370. And over time, its popularity did take off, though, following the release of Star Wars Rebels in 2015. The chart is very non-moving, very flat. As I look at this graph of popular of usage of the name, popularity over time, and at about 2015, when Star Wars Rebels debuted, it peaked and continued to peak until this day.
Well, even the other version, Kanan with a C, Canaan, peaked in 2016 and hit 667. So I bring this up because this is my theory. My theory is that a lot of Star Wars fans put one over on their SOs by saying no, it's biblical. It's Hebrew. Babe, seriously, we're just representing.
Babe, SO.
Babe.
Significant other for those of you, for Billy Mack who's listening, going, what did Swank say? SO, significant other.
Who's he calling SO?
Oh. Whenever I send Billy things like just letters, like, what's your ETA? He's like, ETA? Edda? What's he? I don't have an Edda. No, Billy. I'm just wondering what time you think you're going to be here. No, he's going to be mad at me for saying that. But I don't care. It's Christmas.
Hey, Jason and Jimmy. This is Paul V. from Phoenix. I was calling to wish you guys a Merry Christmas. I want to say this has been a great year for the podcast. I've been a listener for many years, going back to the Forcecast days, and I always have a lot of fun listening to the show week to week. And actually, finally, just recently became a patron. So I've been having a lot of fun catching up on all the Q&A shows. The Star Wars highlight of the year for me was definitely Andor. Out of all the shows that they originally announced, that one was always the one that sounded the most exciting to me. A spy thriller set during the height of the Empire, during the dark times. I always thought there was so much potential there. And even then, what the show that we actually got far exceeded any expectations I had going in. And I loved everything about the show. Well, almost everything. There was one thing. And it's actually related to something you guys touched on last week. I'm surprised it hasn't come up before now, because I know how sensitive Jason is to these types of things. And that is the use of the T word. In episode 8, Narkina 5, when Cassian has been giving a tour of his new cell, they say this.
Everything you need here is on the wall. Water, nightlight, toilet flips down.
That's right, toilet. Not a word I have ever wanted to hear uttered in Star Wars. I hope we never hear it again. I was so proud of you last week, Jason, when you used the correct terminology refresher. I'll even accept vac tube. Just please, let's never hear the word toilet uttered again in the Star Wars galaxy. I'll turn it back to you guys. What do you think?
Well, okay, vac tube. In premiere of Mandalorian, season 1, episode 1 with Mythrol, didn't he talk about the vac tube? Was it the vac tube he's talking about? He's like, I need to let out my, I don't know.
Like evacuate my thorax or something. What did he say? He's like, I'm molting.
Right.
What did he... Horatio Sands.
I don't know.
Mythrol.
Yeah, he said something
I'm molting.
about it. And I'm like, and I remember at the time we said, why aren't they talking about refreshers? Because it was another term.
You can't say toilet.
He didn't say toilet. I know that.
Or can you?
Mythrol in that first episode, I can bring him in warm, or I can bring him in cold, or I can bring him in freshly refreshed.
I could bring him in marinated. I could bring him in fricasseed. I could bring him in tenderized. I could bring him in. Just bring him in already. Mythrol.
They got fried shrimp. They got barbecue shrimp. I think just bring him in already. Bring him in
I
lukewarm.
could bring him in parboiled. I could bring him in. Just would you bring him in already? Okay. Well, do you want any kind of dipping sauce or anything? We got ranch. We got what is this, buffalo? We've got a buffalo sauce. You might really just.
If you've never seen a fledgling Mythrol evacuate their thorax, you're a lucky guy.
Oh, I was right. Yes.
Yeah, you were
I just
right.
wanted confirmation.
You were
of
right.
Evacuating thorax.
Yep.
Thank you. It
Yep.
did sound right to me when I said it.
If you've never
But
seen
it sure sounds right when Horatio Sands says it while he's in the refresher or vac tube, if you will. So, okay, what's the deal here? We can't use the word toilet in Star Wars? Seriously? I would have loved to have been a fly on the wall in that room when Tony Gilroy's sitting there and the phone rings and it's someone from the Lucasfilm story group who says, well, it says toilet here. Would you mind using vac tube? And Gilroy would say, what the hell is a vac tube? Well, it's what we use as a refresher in the Star Wars universe. And then Gilroy would say, what the hell is a refresher? Would you leave me alone and let me tell the story my way? Because I'm not putting any of your Star Wars crap in Andor. All right? Let's just make that clear. Okay? It's not happening. Good day, sir. He slams the phone down. And that's Tony Gilroy for you.
Yeah.
And then he leaves and he goes to evacuate his thorax in the vac tube.
All right. Last
one.
one.
Hi, Jason. Hi, Jimmy. This is Nick here in the very snowy and beautiful English countryside, and Rav is considerably further away.
Yeah, I am. I'm in Kiev in the Ukraine. It's minus 14 degrees and beautiful and snowy too.
The tag team.
Look, just a few thoughts for me anyway on Andor and on reflection. Kenobi. I really think Andor, fantastic. Production value, acting, story, the whole lot. But I think what it has done is really reflect on actually how poor at times Kenobi was. It just felt a bit cartoony. The story I don't think was up to scratch. And I really can't help but wonder if Tony Gilroy sat and watched Kenobi and thought, we could do way, way better. And I also
we got
hope
toilets.
Sorry, Rav. I really hope that Ewan McGregor he wants to raise the bar considerably if he does another season.
Totally agree with you. I think I'm getting fed up of watching shows with the volume in it now. I really like the technology, but you can really notice it now. And looking at the practical sets and the locations that they had in Andor, even though, for example, the beach was set in Blackpool, which is a really famous beach in the UK, seeing it in Andor and seeing and feeling it and smelling it almost was just fantastic and so much better than the volume.
Yeah, I think watching Andor, it felt like, the same quality as Rogue One. They felt like they'd thrown the money at it, whereas when you watch Kenobi, it just felt like a kind of below par Star Wars movie.
Yeah, agreed. And okay, we've got to give Tony Gilroy credit for Andor. He's done a fantastic job with that, and the writing as well was so superb. The acting was so superb. I really like the fact it follows the sort of Rogue One style and treatment, the shaky single camera type thing. It just feels so Star Wars. I loved it.
And I think Rav, this is the point where he needs to hold his hand up and admit that he didn't really like Andor, and also just apologize to me and to everyone else in the Star Wars community.
Oh, he's outing him.
Okay, yeah. The first 2 episodes were really boring and slow, but I totally admit I got it wrong. Andor was superb, and I dismissed it after episode 2, and I shouldn't have. So I'm sorry, Nick.
Great work, guys. Thanks for everything. Talk to you soon.
Yeah, thank you for a fantastic year of content. We look forward to the new year. Happy holidays and a happy new year to you.
Thanks, guys. The whole time they were talking, I was picturing Foden Bede from the pod race, Phantom Menace, that they were two heads.
If I get, let me apply a little background. This is Nick and Rav. They're both top dog producers over at ITV's Good Morning Britain, and they're loyal RFR listeners. And so that's why, was it Rav who said he was out in Ukraine somewhere?
Yeah.
And he's covering events out there. And
wow.
These guys are balls to the wall, and we really appreciate them listening to RFR. And I wanted to hear what they had to say about Kenobi versus Andor, and boy, they don't hold back.
No, they don't. But you know what? Rav gives me hope because, I've been saying that for a while with our Andor after shows, that if you watch the first couple episodes, and if they weren't your thing, you give it another shot. There have been times where, and this isn't making excuses. You were talking last week, Jim, about trying to do a little dive into more Tony Gilroy's work, and you were talking about the Bourne films and how they just never, they never really grabbed you to the point where you wanted to go through, burn through all of them and all that. And
not Gilroy's fault. Not Gilroy's fault. I mean, my rationale is, or my reasoning is, I just didn't accept Matt Damon as an action hero. That's just on me, Maybe if I watch it, I can accept him as an action hero, but I just never.
I watched the first one, and it didn't do anything for me. And then the second one came out, and then the third one came out, and there was so much hype around those two that I watched them, and then I went back and watched the first one, and then I watched all three of them. And so, point being that the first one didn't grab me, the subsequent ones did, and then it made me appreciate the first one. So I really do think that for those of you that, and it's not for everybody, and this isn't like a big I told you so, but you may have a similar reaction to Andor that Rav did, where you get past the first couple of episodes, and then the story really does pick up, and then you'll understand why. Because the payoff at the end for why you are there on Ferrix with Andor for so long, and you're getting to know who Marva is, and you're getting to know who Bix is, and you're getting to know all these characters, it's very, very important. And there is a payoff. And we don't even know the end of that payoff because there's a whole other season. So it really is, I think, worth your while.
Yeah. Those times in the early episodes when it feels like we're meandering a little bit, dwelling on these very small stories on Ferrix, what have you, even the Narcana kind of thing. I mean, the build up to all of those characters and everything. By the end of the series, it all comes back to Ferrix and really brings back the survivors of the Aldhani heist. It's really great the way it all just wraps around itself.
So well
provides
constructed.
You with very well constructed and very well executed. And you have to be extremely careful about throwing down harsh judgment on that show if you haven't soaked in the entire thing. Because there is a point to it. It's going somewhere. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end. And that's good storytelling. Now, you guys, you tear down Kenobi so much to build up Andor. I don't think that's really necessary. I loved Kenobi when it happened. I did not like the Reva character, no, because, I mean, I had no problem with the actress or the character itself. It's just the ham-fisted way they handled that character and just the really unlogical. It just feels like a character that was just shoved in there at the last minute and didn't really have any strong connection to the rest of the story. And that's really unfortunate. I still have the action figure of Reva and everything, so it's not like I'm that upset about it, but it has affected me going back to the series to experience it again. It's really affected that.
Because you got to have a great villain. You got to have, and not just a villain, but a villain with a lot of purpose and a great angle. And that's something that Andor does really well. You've got, and the thing that's cool about Andor, and it's a cliche to say, well, villains are always the hero in their own story. Villains don't see themselves as villains. That's so true with Andor. And the more that they live up to that cliche, the more compelling of a villain you have. None of the bad guys or bad girls or bad whatever in Andor think that they are. They all think that they're doing the right thing. And damn, does that make for a compelling story. In the case of Reva, I wish we would have just had a little bit more, and we got backstory on her, but just a little bit more from her and from her character to, instead of keeping it such a badly held secret that they did. I mean, the story kicks off with it. And you go back, you're like, well, yeah, of course. Okay, so she's here. And, you know, basically they telegraphed it. They telegraphed her turn. They telegraphed her issue with Vader a million miles away. And that's kind of all they give her. She's just nothing but rage. She's very one-dimensional.
Yeah.
And she does do this sort of turn at the end with Luke, but it doesn't make any more sense than her surviving that saber, to the stomach. So I walk away from Kenobi not thinking so much about Reva, which is a shame because the Inquisitors were such a big part of it. I walk away from Kenobi thinking about Obi-Wan versus Vader, round 2, the second fight that they had, which I love and I think is phenomenal, and also the Leia stuff. I enjoyed the Leia stuff very much, and it doesn't change anything for me when I watch A New Hope. I just don't, I don't know. It doesn't throw me off the scent. I can make up enough excuses in my head canon. And it's not like you had, that was a pretty big decision. I don't think that was a Deborah Chow exclusive decision to do. I think that went all the way to the top. That rightly or wrongly, you can agree whether they executed it well, but I don't think they just, threw a dart at the board and said, yeah, we'll use Leia.
I'm a longtime fan of the Red Hot Chili Peppers. Since the 90s, I've liked the Chili Peppers. Got turned on to them in college. And I think Flea is a world-class bass player. Last week, I watched the Woodstock 99 documentary. And Flea is on stage completely nude during that entire concert. The only thing covering up his Flea junk is his bass guitar, which he gleefully pulls aside many times to let you see the full Flea. And while it's not the first time I've seen him on stage nude, there were times when the Red Hot Chili Peppers, they would go on stage wearing nothing but socks, covering up their lightsaber hilts. But seeing Flea in that documentary recently made me shiver thinking about watching the Kenobi series again and seeing him chase young Leia through the woods in that very awkwardly staged chase sequence.
Okay. I was like, where is this going?
It's the end of the show, Swank. I can go weird if I want to. Nobody's listening anymore. They only listen to the first half. They all tuned out after Ashley hung up. And this is just you and me talking to each other. So now I'm trying to make you laugh. That's all.
Mission accomplished. I was sitting there like, because I'm not a big rock guy like Mac is. I'm like, Flea, I think, is this leading? Was he in Kenobi? I remember there was a rocker in Kenobi, and then I was getting him mixed up with the who was the guy, the mod. in Book of Boba Fett. He was a rocker, wasn't he?
Yeah. You're thinking of the great bass player, Thundercat.
Yeah, another bass player. What's going on with the bass players in Star Wars?
Well, that's just it, They're all showing up now in Kenobi. I think it's just a matter of time before we get somebody like a Les Claypool or somebody like that, of course.
Wow.
Probably most well-known to nerds is the guy who did the theme to South Park. But,
did he really?
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
But
That show's still going strong. It's like in season 42, something like that.
Well, probably getting close to 30, though.
I think it's
probably
over
not too
30.
far away, 20-something at least. The thing debuted about the time I got married, and I've been married for 25 years, so yikes. South Park's been around for a long time.
Oh, you're right. 25th season. 25th season debuted in February of 2022. So the next will be season 26. Huh.
Amazing.
Development. All right. So anyway, happy holidays, everybody. Merry Christmas. Happy New Year. It really does go without saying just how much we appreciate your support over the year. And it's great at this time to acknowledge it and just thank you. Thank you for being there for us. We get a lot of voicemails that say, hey, you guys got me through a rough time, or, you guys keep me company on my commute. And but you guys do a lot for us as well. We would not have had near the fun that we have had in our journey together as podcasters if it wasn't for you all. Because nobody's really that interested in a podcast unless there's a bunch of people listening, truly. And so we appreciate that very, very much, because it's the power of this audience, and you guys do it, that allows us to do things that we do. And so thank you. Especially thank you to our Patreon supporters over at patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio. If you head over there, if you're not yet a patron, that does, you know what? I joked a couple of weeks ago, said it makes a good gift. It does make a good gift because there's so much content. There's so much stuff that you're going to find that you don't find anywhere else, including exclusive podcasts. You heard from a few of our Patreons earlier tonight. In fact, all of the voicemails that we played over the last two shows are exclusively Patreon supporters. And so that gives you an idea of the class of folks that are over there and talking about Star Wars, listening to this show and enjoying all of that content. It's a great community. And so please check it out, patreon.com/Rebel Force Radio, or you can go to the website and click on that Patreon banner. Also, we'd love to have you watch us on YouTube. YouTube has become a real good friend of ours over the last few years, especially with the after shows. It's the exclusive place to watch the after shows. So if you are a follower of us over there, and that includes hitting the subscribe button, costs you nothing. We love to have you hit that. We love to have you leave comments on our videos. That's also really, really important. Please do that. Like the videos. But when you do that, you'll get notified when we're about to go live with a Rebel Force Radio after show. And we'll be back in the new year with the Bad Batch. That's right. We decided we are going to do after shows for each and every episode of the Bad Batch. So that's a contract between us and you. That means you guys have to call. You guys have to get the emails in and generate conversation about Bad Batch. I don't think you're going to have to work very hard, because I think it's going to be a great season. I really do. I'm looking forward to it. And it gives us an excuse to get together every week and, just chat about Star Wars. And there's nothing better than that. So check us out over on YouTube. Also follow us on our social media channels. We're on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. Jimmy Mack revealed not long ago that we're also on the TikTok. It's emerging channel for us.
Yeah,
He hasn't even given me the keys to that yet. So I think we'll leave them in the capable hands of Jimmy Mack for now.
Let's just say it's a soft launch at the TikTok right now.
Soft is better than limp. We'll say a soft launch over on TikTok. The website for all things and everything. Rebel Force Radio, rebelforceradio.com. But above all, if you want to help us out, the best thing to do is just keep listening. Keep listening. Keep telling your friends about it. And If your podcatcher of choice allows you to subscribe to the show, those subscriptions help out a lot. Also, the reviews. We read each and every one of them. Love to have those reviews. Just one rule, please.
Make them good.
All right, we'll be back in the new year. More Star Wars, more Rebel Force Radio. Huge thanks to our guest this week, Ashley Eckstein. Wow, she was so generous with her time. We could have probably talked to her for another hour. And it was just great. She's fantastic. Please support her and all of her good work
the GOAT.
in and out of Star Wars.
Ashley is the GOAT.
The GOAT.
Yeah.
Fan ambassador, maybe the greatest of all time.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, I agree. She is something special, and it's all real. All right. We'll see you in the new year. Love you all so much. For Rebel Force Radio, I'm Jason.
I'm Jimmy Mack.
And remember,
the Force will be with you, always.